Have you ever stopped to think whether the freedom they sell us is truly freedom? We grow up hearing that we live in free societies, that we can choose, decide, and forge our own path. But the truth is darker. What they call freedom is, most of the time, just a carefully constructed illusion. Like puppets, we believe we are in control, while invisible strings manipulate our choices. This illusion begins early, when we are taught to follow rules, standards, and expectations that seem natural, but were shaped to keep us within limits. From what to study, what to consume, to how we spend our time, everything is guided by invisible structures. And the more we believe we are deciding for ourselves, the more we reinforce this prison that has no physical bars, but quietly controls our minds. What is most disturbing is that this false freedom comes accompanied by constant distractions. We are filled with stimuli, information, and instant pleasures so that we never pause to notice the extent of the manipulation. It is at this point that many remain forever, believing that choosing among infinite content, products, or lifestyles is proof of their freedom, when in reality, they are merely navigating an ocean that has already been designed for them. But there is one detail few manage to see. Those who begin to question this freedom realize that every distraction, every excessive comfort, and every modern habit is part of a much larger plan. This is only the first step in understanding why we are kept weak, distracted, and obedient. The path to resistance only reveals itself to those who have the courage to see what lies behind the curtain. We live surrounded by distractions, yet few people realize how calculated they are. Nothing is by chance. Every notification, every new trend, every visual stimulus that steals seconds of your attention has been designed for that purpose. The modern world does not want you to think deeply, because an attentive mind is a threat. So instead of reflection, it offers endless entertainment, keeping you trapped in a cycle of quick and empty pleasure. The danger lies precisely in the subtlety. You believe you chose to open that social media app, watch that video, click on that news story, but the decision had already been made before you even realized it. Platform design, the psychology of colors, the sequence of content, everything has been created to capture your mind and turn it into a commodity. Your focus is sold as a product, while you distract yourself believing you are in control. This system doesn't just steal time, it steals clarity. The more you get lost in the endless flow of distractions, the farther you drift from your true ability to observe, reflect, and act autonomously. This is how millions remain anesthetized, unable to notice that their own lives are being consumed by artificial stimuli. And the less you see, the more docile you become before the system. Few manage to escape this mechanism because it disguises itself as freedom and pleasure. But those who begin to perceive the trap understand that every distraction is an invisible chain that keeps them weak. It is from this awareness that the path opens to reveal how excessive comfort, addictions, and even the education system have been structured to shape obedient individuals. The promise of the modern world is simple. The more comfort you have, the happier you will be. But this promise carries a hidden poison. Gradually, we become dependent on conveniences that kill our strength, discipline, and resilience. We no longer need to face the cold, hunger, physical effort, or the silence of solitude. Everything is delivered ready-made, fast, and painless. It seems like a victory of civilization, but in reality, it is a trap. Excessive comfort creates a generation of people incapable of enduring the slightest difficulty. Small obstacles quickly become insurmountable mountains because the mind and body have been trained to always seek the easiest path. This weakening doesn't happen suddenly. It is cultivated, promoted, and even celebrated, as if being fragile were a sign of humanity. Meanwhile, true strength, the ability to endure and stand firm, is gradually erased from culture. It's not just the body that weakens from lack of effort, but the mind as well. Every time we choose the most comfortable solution, we train the brain to reject challenges, avoid discipline, and chase immediate rewards. This is how an entire society is shaped, anesthetized by easy pleasure, incapable of rebelling against the order that manipulates it. After all, Those who are distracted and satisfied rarely question why they live in invisible chains. And it is precisely in this state of fragility that it becomes easiest to shape obedient individuals. The system knows that the weaker you are, the easier it is to control your choices, your desires, and even your thoughts. This silent process sets the stage for something even deeper: conditioning, that begins in childhood, disguised as education, but which in reality teaches obedience without question. What they call education is in reality often just conditioning. From an early age, we are placed in classrooms that resemble factories: organized lines, rigid schedules, standardized tests. The goal is not to awaken natural curiosity or develop critical thinking, but to teach obedience, to follow orders, and to accept systems that were already in place before we were born. School does not create free individuals, it creates parts of a much larger mechanism. The curious thing is that almost no one questions this model. Parents, teachers, and students believe it is the only possible path, because society itself reinforces this idea as absolute truth. We are evaluated not by our ability to think, but by our skill in repeating, memorizing, and conforming to the standard. The hidden message is clear: questioning is not allowed, only reproduction is permitted. This type of training does not end in childhood. It continues in university, at work, in social rules, and even in the way we consume information. The mind is shaped to function like an obedient gear, incapable of rebelling against the machine. The result is a mass of people who believe they are free, yet respond exactly as the system expects. And when someone dares to step outside this pattern, they are quickly labeled strange, problematic, or even dangerous. It is this same structure, combined with distractions and the cult of comfort, that keeps billions trapped in a reality without realizing it. But conditioning does not stop at education. The most valuable resource of the modern era is not gold, oil, or technology. It's your attention. Whoever controls what you look at, what you read, and what you consume also controls the way you think and act. This is the new invisible currency of the world. Your mind has become contested territory for corporations, governments, and algorithms that know exactly how to capture every second of your focus. The strategy is simple: bombard you with continuous stimuli, making the silence needed for reflection impossible. Every notification, every advertisement, every short video was not created to inform, but to hijack your consciousness. While you believe you are choosing freely, your attention has already been negotiated and sold to those who profit from your distraction. This hijacking has a devastating effect. It fragments your ability to concentrate. You can no longer dive deeply into anything because your mind has been trained to jump from one stimulus to another without pause. And when you can no longer focus, you can no longer create, think critically, or build anything of value. A fragmented mind is a docile mind, ready to accept any narrative the system wants to impose. Few realize this invisible slavery because it disguises itself as entertainment, connection, and even information. But as your attention is drained, your inner strength disappears along with it. This is where the game becomes even more cruel. You not only lose mental clarity, but you also begin to believe a greater lie: that chasing success, status, and consumption is the true way to win in life. From an early age, we are taught to believe that success is the ultimate goal in life: a brilliant career, social status, and limitless consumption. This is the script they sell as the formula for happiness. But behind this promise lies a silent mechanism of control. The more you chase these symbols, the more trapped you become in a cycle that never ends. The system knows that the more you desire, the weaker you will be. The cruelest part is that this race is structured to never have a finish line. There will always be someone richer, more famous, more attractive, more successful than you. This is the engine of modern slavery, turning lives into constant comparisons, creating anxiety, frustration, and a void that is never filled. So you keep running, believing you are moving forward, when in reality you are merely spinning inside a gear. And while you chase this mirage, you forget what truly matters: clarity, discipline, and mastery over yourself. Modern success does not liberate, it imprisons. It is designed to drain your energy and keep your mind occupied with goals that mean nothing. The real prize is not in what you achieve externally, but in what you strengthen internally. Yet this is precisely the truth they try to hide. It is at this point that the system reveals its cruelty most clearly. By weakening your mind with comparisons and your soul with artificial desires, it also weakens your body. Because a debilitated body is the natural extension of a weakened mind. And this physical fragility is no accident. It is carefully cultivated by the very structure that controls your life. One of the greatest secrets of modern manipulation is simple. When the body weakens, the mind follows the same path. The society we live in promotes a lifestyle that seems comfortable, but in reality quietly undermines our vitality. Sedentary habits, processed food, and easy dopamine create fertile ground for apathetic individuals, incapable of resisting the invisible pressures surrounding them. It's not just about physical health. A body without energy, without vigor, also becomes an obedient body. Constant fatigue, lack of discipline, and destructive habits reduce the capacity to fight against the system. A strong mind requires a body to support it, but when both are weakened, the cycle of submission becomes almost unbreakable. What few realize is that this weakening is no accident. There is an entire industry profiting from sick, fragile bodies dependent on quick fixes. The more you let yourself be consumed by this model, the more autonomy you lose. And when autonomy fades, obedience becomes the only apparent path. This state of weakness creates an even deeper vulnerability, the relentless pursuit of immediate pleasures that numb the pain of decay itself. It is at this point that we enter dangerous territory, where addictions and cheap dopamine become invisible chains that trap not only the body, but the soul. We live in an era where instant gratification is offered at every corner, and this is no coincidence. Pornography, social media, games, shopping, and fast entertainment are designed to capture your mind and addict your brain. Every impulse quickly satisfied creates an even greater need, keeping you trapped in an endless cycle of instant gratification. The danger lies not only in the momentary distraction, but in the gradual transformation of your behavior. The more you seek easy pleasure, the more your brain becomes accustomed to avoiding effort and challenge. In the long run, the pursuit of immediate satisfaction undermines your willpower, reduces self-control, and destroys the mental clarity needed to realize you are being manipulated. This invisible chain affects not only the body and mind, but also the soul. You may feel temporarily satisfied, but deep down there is a void, a silent dissatisfaction that nothing can fill. It is in this space between the illusion of pleasure and the reality of emptiness that modern society strengthens itself, keeping individuals obedient and weak, incapable of seeking something greater. And the more you give in to these impulses, the farther you drift from true freedom, the ability to think, act, and create without relying on artificial stimuli. But there is a turning point. Those who recognize the trap can begin to reclaim their attention, their strength, and ultimately their autonomy. It is from this awareness that the path opens toward the awakening that few dare to reach. While the majority remains trapped in the invisible chains of distraction, comfort, and instant gratification, a small minority begins to awaken. These individuals realize that true freedom does not lie in what the system offers, but in what it tries to hide. Discipline, focus, and mastery over oneself. They see beyond the illusions that keep billions obedient. The power of this minority lies in awareness. Unlike the masses who follow blindly, they learn to choose where to place their attention, to value effort, and to build inner strength. Every habit they strengthen, every challenge they face, and every distraction they reject is a step toward a kind of freedom that few even imagine exists. This difference creates a silent threat to the system. The more individuals awaken, the more evident it becomes that modern society is not neutral. It was built to keep the majority weak, distracted, and obedient. The awakened, even in small numbers, become disruptive, as they no longer accept rules that do not serve their true growth. And it is precisely this realization that defines the final path. Understanding that control is not inevitable, that there is a way out, but only those who consciously choose to fight can break free. The awakening of the minority reveals that strength, clarity, and autonomy are choices, not privileges, and that the true revolution begins within each individual. The path of resistance begins when you decide to take full control of your mind, body, and attention. It's not easy. It requires discipline, courage, and the willingness to face discomforts that most avoid. But it is precisely in this challenge that true freedom is born, the kind that does not depend on comfort, distraction, or external approval. Every habit that strengthens your mind, every moment you resist the temptation of immediate pleasures, every physical and mental effort you consciously embrace builds an invisible barrier against the manipulation of modern society. This is how the awakened become immune to the silent force that keeps the masses obedient and weak. This journey is not just about individual strength, but about becoming part of a minority that questions, observes, and acts with clarity. You become dangerous to the system, not by confronting it physically, but simply by existing with autonomy, focus, and discipline. The true revolution begins within every awakened mind, and it is in this silent revolution that the most real power resides. If you've made it this far, you've already taken the first step toward freedom. Keep awakening, strengthening your mind and body, and never settle for being just another face in the crowd. And if you want to be part of this journey of consciousness and resistance, subscribe to the channel now. Every video here is a key to seeing the world as it truly is. Thank you for watching and for choosing not to remain trapped in the illusion.